Okay, so this is just a quick little note about the periodic table. So in the last video we talked a little bit about the periodic table and about the idea of groups and how we have group 1, 2 and then for us 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 over here. One thing that we need to also think about are where we've got what we class as metals and non-metals. So you'll see here I've drawn a little orange staircase across the periodic table here. Now everything on this side of the periodic table are non-metals, and everything on this side of the periodic table, so everything on the left hand side, are all our metals. So we see that for us we've got metals in group 1 and group 2, okay, and then over here we've got a metal in group 3. And then most of the rest of our things that we look at in those first 20 elements are non-metals over here up to number 20. And we've got a couple of metals down here in group 1 and 2 as well. We had talked before also about the fact that our rows across were to do with how many shells we've got our electrons in, so 1 shell, 2 shells, and then onto the 3rd shell for this line, and then finally the 4th shell here for potassium and calcium. Now whilst we think about those as rows and we think about them in terms of how many shells we've got, those are also called periods, hence the name the periodic table. We'd also talked about the valence electrons, which were the number of electrons that we had in the final shell. So everything in group 1 has got 1 valence electron, everything in group 2 has got 2 valence electrons, that's the number of electrons on the outside shell, and then over to group 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and group 8. Now in group 8 everything has got here 2 valence electrons on the first shell, 8 and then 8. Now the interesting thing here is that means that each one of those outside shells is completely full, and this makes these elements really unreactive. They don't want to react with anything because they don't have to either gain or lose any electrons from that final shell. Whereas over here in group 1 we've got 1 valence electron. It's quite easy for them to lose that valence electron to get a full outside shell. So lithium would try and lose the one on its second shell so that it has a full shell for the first shell with 2 in. So those react really, really violently, and these are called our alkali metals. Okay, those ones in this line here. The ones over in group 18 also have a special name. These are called our inert or noble gases over here, the ones that are very unreactive. So sometimes you will see that some of the things in group 1, these alkali metals, are often kept in argon or krypton, a very inert suspension to stop them reacting with the outside surroundings. So for things like your test and your exam coming up, make sure you know which are your metals, which are your non-metals, because that's going to be really important in a minute when we talk about compounds.